Hey, but you know what? Rick Johnson got to sample that 84 YZ 490 in Finland. And unfortunately, his mechanic didn't know how to jet it, and it did seize. But he got to sample that fire breathing Yamaha.
Yeah, I had an advantage, but that was a great season to have a great bike and to have somebody like you. I looked up to you when you won the title in '81 and then again in '83. And coming in '84, I tried so hard to just not be embarrassed when I got into the class. So luckily I had a good bike and we had great races. And I always, when I was following Broc, I was learning things. Like during the race, I don't know if you know that, but I would be like, man, that was cool. He got on the gas a little early right there. I'd start doing that from now on. And then the next year, came back and smoked me. So we kind of evened it up.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we really, tonight's about, the Motocross of Nations. So you were fortunate enough to be on the 82 team that also won. But coming back in 1983, that was my first opportunity. Because for me, when I had opportunity to actually probably be on the team or would have been selected, in 1980 we didn't even send a team. 81 and 82 were all Honda teams and I was on Yamaha. But by 83 it was finally like, for me, I had all this pent up desire to be on the US team, and finally in 1983 I felt like this was the team that I got to be on, and also got to be with you, Mark Barnett, and Jeff Ward. And the great part was we actually had each manufacturer was represented that year, but when we got over there in Belgium, that was the first time when we actually got to be, although we were all rivals on the track, and we were actually on all rival brands of motorcycles, we got to become a team. And I look back at some of those photos when we were all sitting in the pits together, sitting in lawn chairs as close as we are right now, and sharing every line, every strategy, and everything that we plan to do. And I still think that some of those days are one of my most memorable. And I remember the photo to this day of us coming around the first lap, and Dave Arnold, who was Team Honda manager, has a chalkboard out, and I was fortunate enough to be leading, and we had Mark Barnett, Jeff Ward, and yourself running 1, 2, 3 in Belgium. And don't forget, Team Belgium they had all 3 world champions, Andre Malheur, Georges Jobet, and Eric Gabor. So that for me was one of my proudest moments, and the fact that you were on that team with me was just something I'll never forget.
Yeah. We wrapped up our national series, and Broc had just won the 500 national title. I won the 250 title, and we get over to Belgium and we're on the 500s, and I feel like, I'm pretty good on the 500. And I just didn't want to let the team down, really. And I'm looking at the kind of firepower we had. Oh man, this is how, if we lose, it's gonna feel bad. And you came from the outside and whole shot of that thing and took off and ran away. So the first moto you ever got to race in your life of the Motocross of Nations, you won it. And in the rain, kind of like the day we had today, I was had a great big streamer of roll-offs trailing behind me and held off one of the buildings to win the second moto, and we won it. And we got to become friends. I think that was what was really cool, is that I would have a lot of respect for you, but I would just see you, here and there at the riders meeting, and just a quick passing you in the pits or something. But over on the Donations, these are riders that you don't really hang out with very much. You don't really know, and when you go over there for 2 weeks, you get to know each other. Do other stuff, play tennis and Yahtzee and ping pong and learn. So I came home each time from the Donations, I'm sure you did, with more experience, a little bit more grown up, and a lot more appreciation for guys that I was battling against all year.
Absolutely. I mean, David, you grew up on the East Coast. I grew up on the left coast. Then I rode for Yamaha. I was part of the El Cajon zone with Ron Lachine, Rick Johnson. So we were kind of the San Diego crew. You spent a lot of time up in the north in Simi Valley at Honda Land with Johnny O'Mara. So like you said, we really didn't have the opportunity to truly get to know each other and just hang out, And again, at that point, we were all pulling for the same common goal, was to win the race. And I don't know about you, but I always, being a 4-man team back then, it was always kind of a little bit in the back of your mind that you didn't want to be the weak link on the team. So to me, I always tried a little bit harder at the Motocross of Nations or the Trophy of the Nations. I don't know about you, is that the way you felt?
Yeah, I I was nervous to try to win a championship or the first race of the year, things like that, but nothing brought up the nerves more than this particular race, because you're thinking about flying back home to America going, yeah, we got fourth. You know, it's you don't want to lose as a team, and you don't want to be the weak link. And somehow we're each able to kind of show each other lines and kind of lift each other's motivation to get out there and get a good start from a bad pick, because you don't get to go and start where you want like you do here. The gate is different, the food is different, you don't get to practice as often as you want. The bike runs a little bit different on gas, you're on a different track that you've never seen before. Everything is so foreign, and we really have to stick together. And so I hope that they can do that here and really appreciate and stick together, as I'm sure there's going to be so many more things that tear these guys off in different directions and distractions, but we were really a team. And you came just to watch us in '84, and when I broke my wrist in the race in Finland, you filled in.
'84, I was the year after. So let's talk about different food, different countries, different things like that. So as David and I were on the team in Motocross of Nations was before the Trophy to Nations. The following week, we were in the Trophy to Nations. And, you know, back then you guys have to remember, the world was a very different place. Obviously, Russia had a lot of influence on the part of the world. Our next race was going to be in Czechoslovakia. And at that time, Czechoslovakia was completely Soviet control. It was behind the Iron Curtain. I think that's the only American team to have won a race in a Soviet control behind the Iron Curtain country during the time before the wall came down in Berlin in '89, I believe. So we loaded up the vans and the caravans and we drove into Czechoslovakia, and we went through what was called no man's land. And do you remember that, driving down there?
Very scary. Being on the bus, I had not signed something on my visa or something like that, and I had these guys on the bus with guns looking at the signature that I had to sign to match the Honda secretary that I had before to my other one, because my passport was out of date or something. And we had to sit there for 4 hours on the way in, and it seemed like all night on the way back. And you get home onto American soil, and you kind of understand when you look at the flag and you hear the national anthem. Nothing against other countries, but that particular experience, I remember it affected you, and it kind of sunk in for me towards the end. You know, when I got home and thought about it more, we were really fortunate to have that experience.
No, I just remember that bus. We could have put 75 people on the bus, and there was only probably 15, 20 people on the bus. And I just remember the guy coming to check our papers and passport, and somebody made kind of a joking remark. And the young kid, soldier, probably 19, 20 years old, picks up his machine guns and points it at the guy. And I was like, this is the real deal. And so it definitely changed my look, you know, and my outlook on that kind of stuff, really to see it up close like that. Tensions were high at that time of the world too. The Korean flight 007, the Korean Airlines flight, had just been shot down. So things were already a little bit on edge. And we were at one point talking about possibly not going into Czechoslovakia at that point. Do you remember that?
There was a family that had escaped in a hot air balloon made out of raincoats.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the time that we were going. So we were racing, but we were kind of overwhelmed with how intense the situation was. But a beautiful racetrack and a huge crowd, and everybody was really respectful. The Nations just has a way of bringing out the best in you. Brought out the best in me every year, always in the team. And I'm just happy to see the team we've got. Looks like we've got a good team again. And I wish all those guys luck this weekend. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. I really appreciate it. Jeff Stanton. Man, I saw him when he was just getting started, and to see what he's become off the motorcycle as well, I'm really honored to know him and proud of him. And thanks everybody for coming and supporting this. It means a lot.
Thank you, David. Honored to be on your team those years, and thank you very much. And honored to be a member of a guy that actually, national anthem rising, being played by the American flag going up in a Soviet country. Still a moment in my life I'll never forget. One of my proudest moments on the track. And You were right alongside me, brother. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.